Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. Only one of the normal boys is here tonight because this is an Arsenal-themed show. The transfer window is done. Our business is done. And I'm joined by my mate, Aussie Gooner, Steve. And we're going to unpack this. We're going to talk about the incomings, the players who went. EDU out, trending, reactionary, necessary. Who knows? We're looking forward to unpacking it all and looking forward to doing a nice Arsenal-specific show. RJ pumped out a Chelsea show this morning. We're going to talk about them somewhere down the line too. But, of course, Steve, a pleasure to have you on, mate. How are you? You with
Sorry,
me,
mate. Sorry, mate. I think I might have just cut out on that on what you were just saying. But look,
no, all good. Just introduce yourself. Let the people know where they can find you. You are linked down below.
mate. Look, guys, you're going to find me on the Aussie Gooner channel on YouTube. You'll find me on the Football Capital for fucking sure. You know that. Instagram, yes. Twitter, I'm rubbish with it. So don't send me tweets and that because I'm rubbish with Twitter because I'm a bit of a twit when it comes to Twitter. And, you know, mucking around on TikTok. And to be honest, look, thanks for having me, man. I mean, a transfer window for Arsenal that, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Has it been that bad? Really?
Well, look, we'll get into that. We'll touch on that a little bit shortly. We got Tom in here from the United Pubcast. Tom, good evening. We got Robbie, RJ, my co-host here as well. We'll talk about Chelsea. Don't worry, it'll get there. But it's Arsenal specific. I want to start out with the players who went out on loan. Sambi Lokonga off to Crystal Palace to work with Patrick Vieira. Cedric Suarez off to Fulham. I think that's a good little bit of business by Fulham. And Marquinhos off to Norwich. Now, Steve, I've got a bit of a problem with this, to be honest.
So do I.
Our squad is very, very thin. We have a very thin squad. We're about to pick up Europa League action. Again, the fixtures will start to pile up. And we've just let 3 players go. Now, I understand they're not starters. You could hardly even call Marquinhos a squad player. But as the fixtures pile up, if injuries pile up, I'm really nervous that we've let 3 guys go on loan. Is it smart or is it reckless?
Look, to be honest, the Marquinhos move, we weren't playing him. We got Reece Nelson sitting there. And when Reece has come on before, he's done some bits. Now, I'm not saying it's the best move now, but I think when it comes to development, I think that was the ideal Marquinhos. The Sambi move, but that's the one that worries me because in the center of the park, right, we have been thin. Now, I'm not saying Sambi is the answer, but he's a body. He's somebody that could get on the pitch and maybe hold on for 10 minutes and do a job. You know what I mean? Because if you don't even have a Sambi, and we all know what's happened to El Neni, and if you don't know what's happened to El Neni, he's undergoing surgery. So El Neni is out of the picture. And now we let Sambi go as well. The Sambi one worries me, Scott. I don't know about you, but that worries me more than Marquinhos.
100%. Sambi is the one that concerns me most because the position that I'm most worried about in our team is the center of the park.
Yeah.
We have 2 starters who are both playing excellent football. I would argue career best football for Granit Xhaka. Thomas Partey, probably the same. And they're a huge part of why we are doing what we're doing. The problem is, if we lose those guys, and we're going to talk about Jorginho in a minute because we have got some backup. But say we lose Granit Xhaka, we're then relying on Jorginho and Thomas Partey. If we then lose Thomas Partey, I'm not sure what we do then. The only thing I could imagine is that they potentially drop Ødegaard deep. They drop him back down the pitch, maybe play Smith Rowe higher up. Can we count on him for longevity? I don't know. Fabio Vieira hasn't filled me with a lot of confidence. So I'm so concerned about the middle of the park, Steve. But we did address that somewhat. Some may say we addressed it. Some may say we put a Band-Aid on third-degree, wounds.
Yeah.
Jorginho coming in, 10 million plus 2 million in add-ons from Chelsea. What's your reaction to this signing?
Look, as an Arsenal fan, we all know who we were looking at, Sato. You go from a signing like that, which excites every man and his dog, to Jorginho. Now, I'm looking at Jorginho as a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid solution. And in January, many a times, the signings that you're going to make are Band-Aid solutions in many cases. Most teams, apart from Chelsea, who are spending up big and whatever. In retrospect, when you think about it, they're also doing Band-Aid. They're trying to save their season right now, so they're spending like crazy. So I saw the Jorginho signing for what it was. I'm not enthused. I'm not excited. I'm not looking at him like he's going to change the game for Arsenal. But I think he's the kind of player that can come in, maybe do a job off the bench, Europa, maybe in the 70th minute, do a swapperoo with Partey if we have to. It adds a little bit of squad depth. Now, the only thing for me was I look at the age and I thought to myself, does it make any sense to me? It doesn't. There were better options out there, but who was willing to sell? And that's the one thing in the transfer window that a lot of people need to understand. Just because you're going after a player doesn't necessarily mean that club's going to sell him, especially in January. So Arsenal fans have to understand that this isn't FIFA where you push the button and you get your player in. But if you make a good offer and this team's got enough time to replace said player, then maybe you got a deal. Yeah. But when we get down this far in a transfer window, and it's not anyone's real fault, we got Trossard, we were going after Caicedo, and we put in a good bid, right? So this is the Edo thing. Then sometimes it's what do? Damage control settings. We need to get a midfielder who's experienced. Now, I believe it's not the best signing, but it's a signing. I believe if we didn't make this signing, Arsenal fans will be going crazy. We need midfield cover. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, mate.
And let's look at what he offers, right? Let's call a spade, because we know his deficiencies. He's slow, okay? He's a very slow player. He's not the most versatile player. But what he does offer is something I think is really important too. Let's not forget this guy was third in the Ballon d'Or voting not so long ago. Yeah, he was a pivotal part of Italy's success in the Euros. He was a pivotal part of Chelsea's success on the pitch. He brings a winner's mentality. He brings leadership to the youngest squad in the Premier League. And I see him coming. Look, he would know that Chelsea no longer wanted him, and he would see that he was disrespected by large portions of their fan base. I think he might see this as a clean slate and come in understanding that he is a squad player here. He's not going to bench Xhaka. He's not going to bench Thomas Partey. He knows what he's coming in to do, and I think he's a good passer of the ball, defensively pretty sound, reliable. What you see is what you get. We don't need him to be fast. We've got Saka for that. We've got Martinelli. We've got Zinchenko. We've got players that are mobile. Having one who isn't, I'm not losing sleep over it. He offers.
Xhaka is not fast. Xhaka is not fast. Yeah. And look at and because he's playing so far up the pitch, he doesn't need to be. Partey is quick when he needs to be, but he's not on afterburners all the time. So
No, and look, it's a panic buy. Yeah, let's be real. We spent a lot of time on Mudryk. We weren't willing to pay what Shakhtar wanted. And you could see Shakhtar got the transfer fee and then donated a large chunk of that transfer fee into the war effort. Now, they were firm on what they wanted. We didn't want to pay it.
No.
Then it changed to Caicedo. We weren't paying what Brighton wanted. And Brighton have kind of been plundered this season. They've lost a lot of players. I can understand their stance. But if you chuck 100 million at them, they're going to sell him. We were never after Enzo Fernandez. Tielemans went cold. Look, this was probably the best we were going to get on short notice.
Yeah, and that's the gist of it. So the problem here is Arsenal fans have to understand something. It's like, well, you got your first target, go for your first one, and if you then go for your second. Mudryk was our first target. We went for our second target, Trossard. So we got Trossard. Yeah, eggs in one basket from Mudryk. We didn't get him, so we went for Trossard. We needed a midfielder. We went for Caicedo. Okay, we made a decent bid, and the bid was good. It wasn't a short change bid. That was a good bid from Arsenal for him, right? But Brighton obviously thought, you know what? He already wants out the door, and we actually need him to save our season. This is a stupid move. We're not going to let it happen. Price him off the table. And when we're talking January, sorry to cut you off, but when we talk January, it's about the players that teams are willing to get rid of. I wanted Wilfred Zaha from Crystal Palace. Now, he's a great option, but the problem is Crystal Palace might say, we don't need the money. We'll run it down for 6 months to save our season. And that's what a lot of teams will be doing now.
It's worth more to stay in the league than to get relegated, isn't it?
Precisely. And what's 30 million, 30 million, or not even 30 for Wilfred Zaha, let's say fucking 18 million for Wilfred Zaha, when you stay in the league and get how much in sponsorship. So it's that balance. As easy as everyone wants to make it sound when it comes to transfers, it's not so simple. It's not.
Spot on. Tom asking, Jorginho happy to be second choice. Look, you'd imagine he's coming over knowing he isn't a guaranteed starter. He has to be. He doesn't have a choice. Fran here as well, such a talented artist. Make sure you check her out
she's
on
awesome.
Twitter. She does amazing work. I wish I had just a quarter of that talent. I'm not quite as talented. So welcome, big ups. Anyone new to the channel, please support us by hitting that subscribe button. The boys have been working hard lately. Help us on the path to 1,000 by subbing, liking, and hitting the bell. Let's talk about Trossard. I know this is a guy, Steve, that you have been talking about for a long time. You've wanted him at the club for a long time. I'm happy we got our man. What we've seen of him on the pitch, he's looked really good. That's what we want. We want high-caliber players who will compete. Now, if I'm Martinelli, I'm nervous now that there's a guy who Mikel Arteta can slot straight in who's going to do a good job. I'm not saying bench Martinelli. I love Gabby Martinelli. Everyone knows that. But it's also good to have competition. When you don't have competition at the top levels of elite sport, you can get lazy or complacent. And I want that mentality in the squad. So happy with that. You happy with Trossard? I'm
happy with Trossard. When the name Trossard came up, I was still saying Zaha. And the only reason was mainly because of the apparent bad attitude. I said, if that isn't an issue, I'm happy with Trossard. And I'm looking at it now, I don't think it's going to be. To be honest, that was a good bit of business. Everyone was saying it like, he can score goals, he can play out wide, he can play as a false nine, he's good for an assist, he's good on his feet, he's good on both feet, left or right. A good bit of business all round. If it wasn't Trossard, it's Wilfred Zaha. Do you get what I'm saying? And not like for like players, but somewhat similar with strengths. And I think, to be honest, most teams out there, apart from Chelsea, of course, are going to look at the Trossard deal that Arsenal got done. They're going to be like, you know what? You got to give him credit. That's a quick, no nonsense move. We went from Mudryk. Now look at this, guys. We went from Mudryk, and it was bang, Trossard in, out, see you later. The deal was done in. Tottenham came knocking on the door. He's already wearing an Arsenal kit. You know what I mean? Now, that's quick.
Never going to go there. Look, I wasn't too gutted about the Mudryk thing, to be honest, Steve. I mean, the money they wanted for a guy whose stats weren't overly amazing in the Ukrainian league. Look, we'll see what he does. I'm sure he's going to have some great compilations. I'm sure he'll probably be a good player. But, I was terrified of Pulisic when he came to Chelsea. I was terrified of Ziyech when he came to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Everyone can look good in a YouTube video. It's what you see on the pitch consistently that makes a difference. The last player we signed, I can't pronounce his name for the life of me. Jakub Kiwior. I know Polish people are going to kill me. I don't really know much about him, so I don't feel – if I don't know enough about the player, I'm not going to try and comment because I think it's too clippable. You just look like a bit of a fool. Do you know anything about this guy?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough as well. So I'm the kind of person just like you that, hey, look, fill us in. Is he decent? I've only seen stuff on YouTube, and I'm not going to go and watch clips on YouTube and come in and make it out like I'm a Jakub, expert. No fake, no fake thunder. Especially, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're not going to fake it. Is it a smart move? Well, a young left-footed centre-back. Obviously, we know why we got him left-footed. We need cover for Gabriel. Signing him in January looks like they were worried that he might be going to a different club if they had to let him go. So obviously they've been looking at him for a while because you don't sign such a young centre-back in January. You know what I mean? And thinking it doesn't make sense. I think that they've been scouting him for some time. They said left-footed centre-back, look promising, tall, right price as well. I think it could be a good buy, but we're not going to know until the season rolls along. It's a good depth signing. Again, people talking about depth. Well, there's another centre-back, a left-footed centre-back now. You know what I mean? We've got a winger, left wing, maybe centre-forward as well in Trossard. The depth is starting. This bench is looking a little bit better.
A little bit better. And look, that leads perfectly on to the next question then. I want you to give me a rating for this transfer window. Let's go out of 10. We're considering the players that came in, the players we've let go, the prices, the squad. Considering it all, give me your rating and just a quick rundown of why you gave that rating.
Okay. So I say 7, a 7 out of 10. I think the deal for Trossard was great. I think the Mudryk deal, I didn't agree with it. I hadn't seen enough for Mudryk. I didn't know much about him. He's scoring in the Ukraine League, whatever. He's quick. That's wonderful. But I had Quick and Theo Walcott, and he was born offside, and he did bugger all for me. So I was happy that we didn't. He could be a great player. I watched him when he played against Liverpool, but I don't know. So I was happy that we got Trossard. So that's one of the reasons why the rating is high. It could have been a 9 if we got my guy Yuri Tielemans in. We got Yuri Tielemans in this window, then I think every Arsenal fan would have been like, that'll do us. That'll do us. The reason why it's a 7 is because, again, Jorginho comes in, an experienced centre midfielder. It's fair enough. It's strength. And the backup centre back, I looked at that and I said, that's a nice move for Gabriel. Also, the reason why we lost a little bit of points was I'm happy for Cedric to be gone and hopefully permanently. I'm all right with Marquinhos. I'm not all right with Sambi. So that dropped a few points as well. It dropped the points as well because I know Sambi, he has looked out of place, and he did look out of place in the FA Cup. Obviously, Odegaard was screaming at him like, get into position. But when you need players to just come in and do a job for 10 minutes, 10, 15, you need to have the personnel. And I just think that the middle of the park, it's a bit bare now, even with Jorginho.
Yeah, I agree. Look, Robbie giving the window a 7. Look, similar to you. Now, this is probably going to shock you because we'll probably say I'm usually the more optimistic of the two of us, I would say. The one who tries to see things through rose-coloured glasses, and you're there kind of giving me a slap saying, mate, come on, wake up. I'm giving this window a 5, and I want to tell you why.
Okay, go for it.
When I'm analysing a transfer window, the big question I have for myself is, first of all, what are our ambitions? Our ambition this season is to win a title. From this position, that's what we should be aiming for, right? Do I feel better or worse about our chance of doing that after this window? The answer to that question is neither. I don't feel worse about it. I don't feel better about it. I feel exactly the same as I did before the window. Heavily worried that our squad depth is so bare. We are literally 2 injuries away from dropping from that first place, in my opinion. If we were to lose Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka, we are in all sorts. We are absolutely in all sorts. I think we needed to keep Sambi. I'm not even saying I think Sambi's a good player, but I'm saying that I would rather have Sambi playing in there than having to drop, say, Odegaard deep or push Zinchenko permanently into the middle. And that's because what we're doing now, Steve, is working. So pushing, people could always say Zinchenko can play in the middle, just push him up there. But at the moment, we're doing a great job with him moving from the left, playing inverted. So I would have liked one more striker, maybe someone a little bit older, who might just be able to come on and give you something different at the end. Because, again, if we lost Eddie now, we're playing Martinelli up front.
Oh, it'll be Trossard. It's a false 9.
Yeah, there you go. Either or. A striker I would have liked. I would have liked to keep Sambi and go Tielemans, and I'm actually quite content with what we've done at the back. The back is not a problem for me. I'm happy with our defence. So that's why I'm giving it a 5. Have I changed your minds at all?
Well, I think I understand the argument in the middle of the park, but I do think Trossard, the reason why Trossard was signed and/or Zaha was even looked at, because these are players that can play multiple positions. So the multiple positions sort of idea, it looks like it's across the whole pitch. Odegaard can play as an 8. He can play as a 10. He likes to play as a 10. You've got Bukayo Saka who can play on the right-hand side of the park, but if he has to, he can play on the left. He can if he has to, and you've seen that happen. You've got Martinelli who can play on the left, but can, if he has to, play as a number 9. So that's sort of 2 positions. You've got Granit Xhaka who can sit back as a deep playing midfielder, or he plays better as a number 8. Now, Thomas Partey is an anchor. Going forward would be horrible, so he can only really play 1. But then you got Ben White, who can play right back and hopefully play centre back. You got William Saliba, who plays centre back on the right hand side, but I've seen him even shift into the right back role. So that's two positions.
Yeah.
You got Zinchenko, who plays in the middle of the park and plays at the left back role.
Zinchenko plays everywhere.
Yeah,
he's everywhere.
So I look at the signing of Trossard. It fits in with all the other players being a player who can play two positions. So I think to myself, it fits. Two-position player. Everyone plays sort of two positions. They got their strength, but I can do this. I can pull this off somewhat. So that's why I looked and went, you know what? It's a bit better than what we think. I know another striker would have been good, but the way I see it is Eddie's doing bits. Trossard can play a false nine. He has played false nine. And Jesus, if you look at the way he plays, yes, he plays a 9 role, but in many cases, he's linking up play more than anything else. So putting Trossard in that number 9 role, that false 9 role, might look like a Jesus setting. So I don't know. I think the Trossard signing fixes it. It sticky tapes or it puts a band-aid over a few positions. But I'm with you. The Tielemans signing, if that had come through, oh my days, that would have been. And guys in the comments, let us know what you think. That would have been a 10 out of 10 window.
My hope is that, as Rob said here, Arsenal will stick to their guns financially. They're not going to pay overs. If the first option is not available, they move to the next target. My hope is that come the end of the season, we finish in the top 4. I'm hoping, because again, a few injuries and everything gets really interesting for opposition teams.
Of course.
But I'm quietly confident we'll finish in the top 4, guaranteeing Champions League football for next season. I'm hoping that after this season, we can go in, we can either then lock down Declan Rice or Caicedo. Either of them guys, I'm stoked, and I'm really happy with our team. So I think we're just missing one big name in the middle. Xhaka's getting a bit older. Thomas Partey's not the most reliable injury-wise, so that's my hope, that we couldn't get those guys now, so we didn't want to pay overs for someone when we were going to go get one of them later on. That's my hope, Steve.
I don't see us paying over. What I like about Arsenal now is, and I know it's like, you got to pay the money to get the player. The way I see it is, you can't play over the odds, and if you're willing to pay over the odds, you're going to get prima donnas. Sometimes you're going to get that prima donna, and I think this squad that we've got, you can see that. We haven't got a big name player in this squad. And every player on that pitch right now that's in the starting 11 has scored a goal, bar Aaron Ramsdale and Ben Bloody White. Now, none of them have got names, right? None of them have names. But you name me a team has got 9 out of 11 starting lineup players with a goal to their name.
Yeah, look, it's a fair shout. And I want to talk about our rivals in a minute, but just to close up on Arsenal, this was trending on Twitter. I know Twitter's not the best benchmark of society. Edu out. Is this ridiculous or is it justified? For what it's worth, in my opinion, do I think that Edu is an amazing director of football? No. Would I be saying Edu out? No, because my hope is that we're moving to something else. We could not compete with what Chelsea were willing to do for their targets that crossed with ours. I didn't want to pay 12 million to loan Joao Felix, because to me that's a poison loan, because what will happen now is he might look amazing for Chelsea and he might become a really important part of their squad. He's going back to Atletico after the loan. Chelsea will say, we love this guy, he was so good for us, and Atletico will say, no worries, you just paid 110 or 120 mil for Fernandes. This guy did so much for you, we want 130 mil. So I think some of those signings were poisoned. I think Edu out was ridiculous. To me, he's doing a decent job. Him and Arteta work in tandem. I am a little bit concerned at some of the fees we get for players who go. And, the fact that we do keep getting beaten for a lot of big targets. But at the moment, it's hard to argue when we are where we are on the ladder. You think this is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, look, you know what it is? We have Arsenal fans out there and content creators. Come for me. I don't care. I'll take you all on. Who, unfortunately, it's good to stick to your guns, but you have to give credit where credit's due, right? And I know Edu out, Edu this, Edu that. we have a young squad that I've just mentioned their stats, and I'm talking just goals. We got the second best. We got the second best defense in the league, second to Newcastle. We got the second best attack in the league, second to Manchester City. We don't have any big names in the squad, but we have unity, right? We've got a team that's playing like a team, and another team that plays like that is fucking Man United, and I wonder why they're doing so well, right? Big name, yeah, Casemiro, but some of the other players, they were nothing. Now they're something, playing as a team. Now, I know Edu could do better. I don't think he's the best director of football, no. But this is knee-jerk. The same people that are saying Edu out are going to say Arteta out. I don't give credit to the manager. They will not give credit where credit is due. Now, I know Edu might have let them down, but in their fantasy, in some of these fans, unfortunately, and not saying everyone, but they live in a fantasy world where you push a button, you're going to get a player. Yeah, you could. But if you bring in a player like, say, Enzo Fernandez, 120 million to Arsenal, let's say, and you've got Saka sitting there about to sign a new contract, Martinelli about to sign a new contract. How much did he get to come here? Why is he getting more than me when I've done so much for the club?
Yeah.
So now what happens? That explodes. The wages go up through the roof again. And all the same fans are going to whinge, oh, I can't believe he's on 190,000, 200,000. You're damned again. So the problem is it's a double-edged sword. If you please the fans, later on, they're going to come at you for another problem. I like the fact that we're getting players that fit in the position, and we're not being tight, but we're not going out there and spending stupid money on players that really aren't proven. And I think a player like Enzo Fernandez is not going to play. A player that we weren't supposed to get. A player like Mudryk, who is highly rated in Ukraine. Is that a gamble anyone's willing to take? So what do you blame Edu for that? We're willing to spend some money, but not stupid money. Come on.
Let's talk about money spent, because you can see here we've got a Chelsea fan in the chat. Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea. Here we go. Look, if I was a Chelsea fan, right,
should be happy.
I'd be stoked. Yeah. I'd be cautiously stoked, though. Now, I know you don't use a lot of Twitter. I got into a bit of a Twitter biff today with a few Chelsea fans because someone had posted, you know, a list of the players, and they said our pool is massive. Like, look at these players we pulled. And I just kind of replied saying, look, it's not pool when you're the only club that pays the money. It's not like, Steve, for example, to me, pool is you're an up-and-coming player. You're an Aussie superstar. Manchester United, City, Chelsea, Spurs.
Haaland went to City. Haaland went to City. That's pool.
That's pool. To me, if you have contract offers from all those clubs on the table, pretty much identical money, they're all offering to meet your buyout fee. The club you pick has that pool, because what they're offering you is what everyone offered you, but you want them. So I got into it with a few Chelsea fans today, but I think they just misunderstood me. They should be happy. They've done great business. Todd Bowley's gone hard. But don't try and disguise it as some kind of pull that over other clubs, because we were never going to pay what they wanted for Mudryk. No one else was going to pay Fernandez's buyout fee. And that loan fee for Felix, it seemed like no one else offered it. So big work for Chelsea. Are you worried about them now?
No. The reason why I'm not worried about them is because it's not just by the players' FIFA settings. Now they're going to work. I can't just go get a bunch of players and all of a sudden they're going to come into the squad. That's it. No, it's not that quick and easy. It's going to improve them. Bloody oath. 100%. Your team is going to change. But you've got a bunch of new players coming into a squad that's fairly new, right?
New manager.
New owner. And now it's about what's our identity again with these players. You know, you've got Mudryk who plays on the left. You've got Sterling he's going to have to be pushed onto the right. Who can play on the right? You've got Hakim Ziyech who's up in the air. God knows where he's going to go.
He's meant to be a PSG, but apparently he's not now.
The fax machine broke down.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's gone. And I look at the dynamic of Chelsea now. It's looking very strong. But on paper, it looks good. What is it going to look like on the pitch? I don't know. And I think you should be excited as Chelsea fans. But I look at it from a different perspective. I think Bowley had to spend money. I think Bowley had to spend money because he put himself in a corner by getting rid of the big names in that club, running it into the ground within 3 months, right? Destroying what Abramovich built in 3 months, bringing him down to 10th, right? So he thought, how am I going to get the fans back on my side? How am I going to keep the sponsors happy? Spend big money. And so he did, and you should be happy with that. Are you going to see that every season? I don't think so. But this time he had to, because he's the one who he's the one who caused these problems at your club. He's the one who got rid of the manager. He's the one that got rid of Peter Cech. You guys went from seriously, you guys become a mid-table team as soon as your new owner came in. And now damage control settings, he's patching up the Titanic so it can keep moving. You get what I'm saying? So this is Bowley. This is not Bowley saying, "Oh, I love the club." This is Bowley saying, "I look like a twit and I need to do something." So he's going for big names, and Chelsea fans should be happy about this.
100%.
But also wary of their owner.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And look here, I mean, were we about to pay 95 mil for Mudryk? I don't see it. I just don't see it. If the most we offered for Caicedo was, 75 apparently,
Well,
I don't see us going 95 for Mudryk when we already have Gabby Martinelli on the left. I don't think we were in for Mudryk, seriously. I feel like there was something going on there with agents.
I look at it and think to myself, Mudryk's gone to Chelsea because two things. Let's say we paid 100 mil for him. We probably couldn't match the pay packet. Okay? They probably came in and said, we'll give you X amount per week, which we weren't willing to pay either. Now, if we go and let's say, and I'm just going to say, for example, I'm going to pay him 180 to 200,000 a week. A player that hasn't played one bit of football for Arsenal. Does that now mean that he's my starting left wing and Martinelli sits on the bench? Now, the problem that we have at Arsenal is that we don't need a starting line left wing. We need someone to compete. The problem at Chelsea right now is they don't have a right wing and they need a left wing. So Mudryk comes in and starts. So the package for Mudryk is like, well, I'll come and start on the left. Sterling will be on the right and I get paid more money. What do you do for you?
Yep, spot on. Look, Tom in here saying, I don't see how it works at Chelsea. When some players don't work out and many signings don't work, so it's a guarantee, there'll be off-field issues which will detract. If I was a Chelsea fan, my biggest worry would be about the chemistry. And is Graham Potter the man who can rein in egos? If Felix has fallen out with Simeone, what's to stop him falling out with Potter? Mudryk, there's a lot of egos now, but we'll have to see. Out of all our rivals, they've strengthened the most. They've done the biggest business. It's going to be interesting to watch them. United have lost Eriksen with injury. They brought in Sabitzer. Good signing. Covers that. Ten Hag's just going to keep chugging along. And Liverpool, God knows what's going on there. They're a shambles. Manchester City losing Cancelo, though, they're weaker for that. What was your reaction to that news? Was it something like that?
It was for that, but then I remembered fantasy and I went, So my fantasy's screwed now, and everyone's fantasy stuff because everyone had Cancelo.
Not mine. I didn't have him, mate. And I'm still top of the Football Capital Cup.
Yeah, there's only a few points between us, son. Relax yourself. The end is near. Don't worry, mate. I'm coming for you. But the thing is, them losing Cancelo, I heard that it was issues between him and Pep, blah, blah, blah. I know Nathan Ake is playing in that position, but he's not in position. For us, it's good. For Manchester City, I know any Manchester City fan out there right now would have liked to see Cancelo go and someone else come in. But since there hasn't been, now it looks a bit shaky. So for us, I'd be happy with that. I'm happy that Cancelo's left Manchester City because it weakens them. Going forward, the attacking threat that he was great. But I think defensively, Cancelo was woeful.
Yep, spot on. Look, Steve, we've unpacked a whole lot of Arsenal talk. We've talked about EDU out. We've talked about the players in, the players out, and all of that. And we've talked a little bit about our rivals because I think even though we're sitting in a nice position on the ladder, you've always got to keep one eye over your shoulder because everyone's chasing us. It's the problem with leading the pack, man. Everyone wants to hunt you down, take your spot.
No, but look, by all means, I think this is a great position for Arsenal to be in, but it ain't all done yet. It ain't all said and done yet. There's plenty of football to be played, but we only got really 2 competitions to worry about. So
here's to hoping. Here's to hoping.
It's 2 competitions. Just to, yeah.
Look, for all the people who've joined us in the chat or who are watching this back, leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of the transfer window for Arsenal. Or if you're from another team like our friend Tobogo, RJ, Robbie, Tom, leave a comment with your rating for your team's transfer window. Make sure in the description I have tagged the Aussie Gooners channel. Check him out. You're grinding at the moment, putting out lots more live content. It's always good fun over there. Have you got anything in the works for the next few days?
Well, I will be doing a live yarn come midday. Well, no, it'll be 11 p.m. Sunday. So midday UK Sunday. I've also got my preview for Everton that will be done live as well. That should be done on midday Friday as well. So yeah, that's coming in the mix. And I should have something else coming out, but I'm not going to say anything because that could have gone in the toilet.
We'll see the joys of content creation. I appreciate you joining me. Again, smash the likes. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure you show the Aussie Gooner some love. The transfer window has closed. Arsenal have done their business. Our rivals have done some business. Now, the only thing left for us to do is march forward, take this Premier League title, baby. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your football.
Here we go.